Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Matt and Joe's Media Overload. I'm Matt.
And I'm Joe.
And today we're going to be talking about my absolute favorite movie of all time. With White Russians in hand, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Coen Brothers classic, The Big Lebowski. The Big Lebowski was written and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen. It stars Jeff Bridges as the dude. It also stars John Goodman, Julianne Moore, Steve Buscemi, among others. And it was released on March 6th of 1998 to actually sort of a disappointing box office performance.
Really?
Yes, it only made $5 million off of its $15 million budget in its original run. Yeah,
it was $15 million for that movie?
Yeah, to make it, yes. And
really?
It made only $5 million at the box office. But thanks to word of mouth, the benefit of late night screenings, having a festival, Lebowski Fest, which we'll talk about a little later, in its honor, and DVD sales and things like that, is become an endearing cult classic, and its legacy has extended all the way on to present day. In 2014, actually, it was added to the Library of Congress National Film Registry for being culturally or historically significant.
What?
Yeah, which is really impressive. That same year, things like Rosemary's Baby, directed by Roman Polanski, you know that movie?
Where his wife got killed by the Manson clan.
Well, that's the guy, not the movie. But yeah, that's
right.
Roman Polanski.
I've never seen that.
He also raped a young girl.
Did he really?
Oh, you've never heard that?
Oh wait, I had. Didn't he? And then he went to like Poland or some shit.
He fled to France. Yes.
Oh.
So he could be extradited.
That's not Poland.
Well, it's not Poland.
How old was the girl that he fucked?
13.
What?
Yeah, anal rape. If I'm not mistaken.
He didn't fuck her in the vajayjay?
No. Apparently
what?
not.
Wait. Come on.
Apparently not. Yeah, well, let's not talk about rape too much because we made it through episode 3.
We did skip one episode.
And now we're back on.
Here we are again.
But anyway.
But while we're here.
Okay.
Just wait.
Okay.
Hold on.
Roman Polanski.
When did he fuck this chick?
Well, this would be a good time for you to use our tagline. Who knows? No, you say it.
I'm going to get to it.
Who knows where we'll go?
Who knows where we'll go? And we're going here right now.
Okay, we're going
now.
Here right
wait,
now.
when and where did he fuck this chick?
Okay, this was in like the 70s.
Where?
Stuff. Where specifically?
Yes.
It was at Jack Nicholson's house.
Okay, Matt. Where is that?
Hollywood?
So in California.
Mulholland Drive.
So in California.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at.
Okay. Well, we're there.
All right, well, I'm satisfied.
Okay, so what else did you want to know? When and where? It was in the 70s at Jack Nicholson's house.
And he fled to France.
He fled to France.
What was that?
Why
didn't they arrest him in France?
Huh?
Why didn't they arrest him in France?
Because we don't have extradition with France or whatever, so
I thought it was Poland.
No, it wasn't Poland.
Maybe it was because his last name's Polanski.
Well,
and I was like, Roman Polanski, he obviously went to Poland.
Well, he's of Jewish descent. You know, he actually survived the Holocaust.
Did they have sex with 13-year-old girls during the Holocaust?
No, he was just a child. Okay, so we're supposed to be talking about the Big Lebowski, but we're going to talk about Roman Polanski for just a moment. Okay, so this guy survived the Holocaust. He was like 11 years old, made it through concentration camps and stuff, was the only surviving member of his family. He came to America, wanted to be a film director and stuff. He met Sharon Tate, fell in love, whatever.
Sharon Tate got fucking killed.
Well, yeah, she was pregnant.
With a baby.
Yeah, she was pregnant and got murdered by the Manson family.
With a baby.
She was also having an affair with Steve McQueen.
Who's Steve McQueen?
You don't know who Steve McQueen is?
I have no idea who Steve McQueen is.
The Magnificent Seven.
Oh.
That guy.
The horse movie show.
It's a Western, but a horse movie.
Yeah, I don't know which guy he is.
Okay, he's Steve McQueen.
I don't know.
So anyway, whatever. She was murdered by the Manson family, Charles Manson and all that stuff, 1969. Anyway, so he, went through all this tragedy and then raped a girl at Jack Nicholson's house.
Did he rape her?
Yes, he drugged her. Like, I think Quaaludes. Used Quaaludes. I believe.
Why was this 13-year-old girl at Jack Nicholson's house anyway?
I believe it was like on the condition that it was like an audition for some role. That
did Jack Nicholson know this was going on?
Well, Jack Nicholson and Roman Polanski were friends. You know, they had done the movie Chinatown together.
Okay, great. Did Jack
one
Nicholson
of my favorite
know this
movies, by the way.
Your favorite rape movie?
What?
Favorite rape movie?
No, there's no rape in Chinatown.
I mean, well, Polanski fucked the chick at Jack Nicholson's
it's
house.
One of my favorite
they made
movies.
A movie together.
Okay,
so it's
The
a
Big
rape
Lebowski is what we're supposed to be talking about. That is my favorite movie. We're going to forget entirely about Roman Polanski and rape and Chinatown and all that stuff. If you haven't seen Chinatown, you should watch it. But you should also watch The Big Lebowski because what we are going to talk about will contain massive spoilers. And if you haven't seen The Big Lebowski by this point, how has it been under that rock you've been living under all this time?
I mean, the first time I saw it.
Yeah, tell me about the first time you saw it.
Well,
because I want to say real quick that this is a movie that people tend to have one of two reactions to. You either like it the first time you watch it, you don't necessarily really love it, but you like it and want to rewatch it, or you don't like it and you need to rewatch it. And some people, I suppose, never come to like it at any point, but I don't know what's wrong with those people because this is a great movie.
I would call those people unintelligent.
Unintelligent.
Why? Why would I say that? Okay.
Well, it's a very detail driven movie. There's a lot of details that you don't pick up on until you've watched the movie multiple times. So it takes a lot of observation, a lot of analysis to really dissect everything in this movie. But we'll talk about that later. Why do you think that, though?
Yes, that's what I was about to drive at. Thank you, Matt. So when I first saw the movie, I don't know, I think it was like at a party or something. And they were like, oh, everybody loves this movie, we'll put it on. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, I laughed at some of the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it, but I didn't fully grasp what was going on. And so I don't know what it was, but I went back and watched it.
It's a busy movie. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's always something going on.
Yeah.
And I went back and watched it again and picked up on the dialogue first.
Yes.
The dialogue was fucking brilliant. It had me in stitches, man. Like almost every scene, something was funny as shit.
Yeah, super quotable.
Especially for me, John Goodman.
Super funny.
John Goodman's my favorite.
John Goodman is great in this movie.
And then every time, and I'll say, while we were doing our live Twitter, because Matt's seen the movie more times than I have, but I have seen it a bunch, more times than I have. I can't talk. He pointed out some things to me that I didn't notice. So every time I've watched this movie, and I'll say I've probably seen it under 50 times. I would say probably like 25 times, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 30. And but every time I've watched it, I pick up on a new line of dialogue, which I did tonight.
Yeah.
And or a new thing going on in the movie, which you pointed out, which I wouldn't have picked up.
Yeah, and we'll talk about those more later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But holy fuck, I mean, how many times can you watch a movie over and over and over again and it's brand fucking new? This movie does that.
Yeah.
This movie does that.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the reasons that this is my favorite movie of all time. And, you know, I don't want to try to, like, throw my opinion on anybody because I understand that film is completely subjective and stuff. So people have their own opinions and stuff. But personally for me, this movie is just, it's so rich with so many details. Every time you watch it, every repeat viewing, you learn more and more about these characters. And you really feel like you know these characters. Like more than like some movies, like you spend an entire franchise, like multiple movies, like seeing the same characters in more than one film, and you still don't feel like you know them as well as you know some of the characters in this movie. And I guess I should go back just a little bit, and I should talk about the first time I saw this movie.
Okay.
So the first time I saw this movie was in 2012. It had actually been recommended to me by, I believe a couple people. I know one friend in particular in high school had recommended to the movie. He was like, "Oh, you need to watch The Big Lebowski. You would love it." And I finally got around to watching it. It was the summer between when I graduated high school and before I started college, 2012. And that was when I really decided that I wanted to get into film, and really start analyzing, really start learning about the history of film, learning about directors and things like that. Instead of, going from a casual movie watcher, watching just whatever's popular, whatever's out at the time or whatever,
right,
to really seeing different films from different time periods, from different genres and that kind of thing. So what I did was I made a list of all these films that had been recommended to me by people, or films that through research on the internet I had found were significant in some way. And anyway, The Big Lebowski ended up on that list, and I finally got around to watching it. And I remember so clearly watching it for the first time, and just really just being completely engrossed by it, completely enjoying every minute of it. But when it was over, I was like, oh, that was a good movie. But it wasn't instantly like my favorite movie of all time. But I had heard from around doing research and stuff that it was a movie that you needed to watch multiple times. So
that's what I heard too.
Yeah, so it was like, probably within that week, I was like, I'm going to watch it again. I watched it again, and I watched it, and I picked up on even more stuff than I had noticed the first time, and I found it funnier.
Yep.
I found it more just ingenious.
Yep.
And then I watched it again, I think before, it was definitely within 2 weeks. It might have been that same week I watched it again. And that third viewing is when I knew for sure it was my favorite film of all time. And I mentioned back in the Evil Dead episode that I'm a huge fan of the Coen brothers.
Right.
And this, of course, is a Coen brothers movie, which I already mentioned. And, I mean, it's my favorite film of all time, so obviously it's my favorite Coen brothers film, too. But it just really, to me, it shows how ingenious those two guys are. It's just, there's so many small details that you just pick up on with every repeat viewing, and I think that is a good place to just go directly into our discussion of the film as a whole. I don't really want to do like a scene by scene where we're going to talk about the movie from start to finish in order and stuff. But I do want to start with the opening scene of the movie.
Okay. Not
Not just because it's the beginning of the movie, but also because it's a good place to start talking about a lot of these points I want to mention later on. So the opening scene is narrated by Sam Elliott. And,
the old guy.
well, yes.
The West dude.
With the mustache, yes.
The West guy. He's
Yes.
on The Ranch on Netflix.
Yes, he's also in movies like Tombstone.
I love his voice, man.
Yes, he has a great voice. But anyway, he's doing the narration, and visually, what you see on screen during this time is a tumbleweed, and it eventually you see ends up in the city of Los Angeles and stuff. But before that, it almost gives you sort of a Western vibe. Did you get that watching this? That if you didn't know any better, would you almost think that you were watching a Western?
Well, yeah, at the beginning, and then the
I
fucking...
mean, you have this Sam Elliott narration, a tumbleweed.
Yeah, but then the tumbleweed goes down the bridge, and then it's
I
in
know,
the city,
I know.
and then it hits the beach, and I'm like, well, what's going on?
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying before that, does it kind of give you Western vibes?
Oh, maybe.
I mean, Sam Elliott, the tumbleweed.
Sort of. I don't know.
It did to me. And
Okay.
it still does, even though I know what's coming. And I think that was the intention there. The reason they chose to do that was to kind of give you a vibe that was a Western and stuff. What I really love about this opening scene, after we get through the part where the tumbleweed goes through Los Angeles, actually through the city streets and things like that, is we get to the scene where we have the dude in Ralph's.
Yes.
In the supermarket, and he's in the dairy section, and he's picking up half and half, which we see in the movie he uses to make his White Russians and stuff. And
They're also in the White Russians we're drinking right now.
Yes, we are drinking White Russians, and I'm a little bit of a lightweight, so I feel like I've already had too many White Russians. But anyway, so we see the dude for the first time, right, on camera, and he's in his robe and stuff. So, and Sam Elliott's narration is also going on still, and he talks about how the dude is a lazy guy, and obviously from the way he's dressed, we get the impression that he's a slacker.
I thought we weren't going scene by scene.
We did, but I said I wanted to talk about the opening scene first.
Right.
Yeah, keep up, Joe.
Sorry.
So, he talks about how the dude's lazy, so obviously his dress, like the way he's dressed, reflects that and stuff. He opens the thing a half and half in the store and takes a sip of it. Then he goes to the counter and he's paying and stuff. He writes a check for 69 cents, which I just love. And that's the thing we'll talk about more later on, but so many of the moments of this movie that I find the funniest are moments that have no dialogue, no speaking in them at all. So he's signing the check for 69 cents, and there's several things I like about this check signing. One, the fact that he's writing a 69-cent check is hilarious in itself. Two, you'll notice that he has, on his check, there's a picture of a whale. Did you notice that?
No, you pointed it out to me, though.
Okay, yeah, I mentioned it after the matter, and it was already too late.
Yeah,
we
I didn't
go
see
back.
it.
Yeah, so his checks have whales on them, and later in the movie, the dude's in the bathtub, and he's listening to the song of the whale. So, I mean, apparently the dude really likes whales, which is just, I mean, there's absolutely zero chance that that detail is for no reason. Like, that's intentional. To me...
Why would you like whales, though?
I'm like... I think that's the Coen brothers' way of just telling us something about the character. Like, it doesn't necessarily have a reason, but I think they put it in there.
He just likes whales.
Yeah, just to give more...
Depth.
Just to... Well, not necessarily depth, but to make us feel like we know a little bit more about the character in small little doses.
Isn't that what depth is?
I'm not necessarily. I don't think so. No, because if it was depth, I think it would have a deeper meaning. And I don't think it has any deeper meaning other than the fact that the dude likes whales.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Like he likes White Russians.
Here's an interesting thing about the check signing, and I mean, I don't necessarily buy into it at all, but there's this, I don't know if you'd call it a conspiracy theory, but there is a theory, for sure, that the Big Lebowski actually predicted 9/11, September 11th, 2001.
Because that's the date on the check.
That's the date on the check, and also while the dude signing this check, playing on the TV in the supermarket, is a news report. Because the movie takes place in 1991, even though it came out in 1998. The movie takes place in 91, and while the dude's signing this check at the supermarket and buying his half and half, George Bush Sr., George H.W. Bush, is doing a speech or whatever where he's talking about Iraq and the whole thing with the invasion of Kuwait and stuff. You know, you're familiar with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, what I'm trying to figure out right now is we were just talking about whales, and then you just completely segued into death.
Well, I have not mentioned death at all. I mentioned 9/11, which I guess, yeah, okay. But I was done talking about whales. Did you not pick up on the fact that I mentioned that it was just...
no, you didn't say, Joe, we're done talking about whales. And then.
Well, what? Okay, let's go back. What do you want to say about whales?
I'm done now. The moment's passed.
So what was the point of even saying that?
Well, go back to the thing.
I gladly will, because you're the one that brought us back. All right, so, I mean, do you think the Big Lebowski predicted 9/11?
No.
No, obviously not. But it is an odd coincidence, isn't it?
It is weird.
It is very weird.
I remember that I was in college then. That was my first year of college, and
what, 9/11?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I was in second grade.
Yep, I was in college, and I remember I was about to get up for class, and my buddy from, like, we were, like, you had dorm rooms and the bathroom was in the middle and you were connected.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
But the other two guys were guys that I grew up with, like, since I was a little kid.
Yeah?
So it was cool. We just left the doors open and everybody came and went. Anyway, so I remember one of them, his name was David, he came in and he woke me. He was like, Joe, a plane just crashed into a building. I was like, what?
Was this at the point where people thought it was an accident?
No. They were just, nobody knew what was going on. And then all of a sudden...
that's what I mean. Like, they thought it was an accident at first.
I don't fucking know. But we were watching on TV, I remember.
Yeah.
And we knew all classes were like suspended. You could go to class, but they were just watching the TV. But I remember I was getting out of bed when the other plane came and hit the building.
Uh-huh.
We were watching a live feed.
Yeah.
Right? And that other plane came, and we were like, wait, whoa, what the fuck? Boom! And we're like, holy shit! Like, I saw that. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I was in 2nd grade, and I remember that, like, the principal of the school came on, like, the intercom and told the teachers not to turn on the TV. But obviously, at this point, we were already watching it on TV, but we had to turn it off. So we didn't actually see the second plane and stuff. So I didn't find out until later. Right. And also, I was 7 years old, so I didn't really understand the weight of the tragedy and stuff at that time. But anyway, gosh, we're talking about national tragedy in our Big Lebowski episode. Anyway.
You brought it up.
I brought up the conspiracy. Yeah, I did. Which is just an odd coincidence.
Have you also heard that
just leave it at that. Oh, what?
Well,
go ahead.
Have you also heard that, like, even watching the video, that the bottom of the tower, like, exploded first before the plane hit?
I haven't heard that, no.
That's supposed to be like a conspiracy, and then like people in the building heard the explosion at the bottom of the tower first, and then the first plane hit.
Well, we'll save that for Matt and Joe's Conspiracy Overload, our new podcast coming next week.
Anyway,
back to the opening scene of The Big Lebowski, which is much more enjoyable, I believe.
Who knows where we'll go?
Exactly. We've already talked about Roman Polanski's rape accusations, and 9/11, in an episode about one of the greatest comedies ever made.
How?
I don't know.
And
anyway,
maybe I'm tugging our cocks, but how?
Let's keep that at your own.
How are we not famous?
I don't know.
I mean, we could at least be like on Sirius XM or some shit.
Possibly. Like
Matt and Joe's Media Overload from...
If Howard Stern can do it, we can do it.
Wonderful. That's what I'm fucking saying.
Okay, anyway. Big Lebowski. Let's get there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about the tumbleweed. We kind of skipped past it, but I want to go back to the tumbleweed.
No, that fucked us up.
First off, the use of the song, it's a song by Sons of the Pioneers, and it's called, like, The Tumbling Tumbleweed, something like that. I don't know, but that's the song playing during the opening scene. I like that. And we'll talk more about the music and stuff later, but I really like the use of that song. I think it sets the tone very well, but what I want to talk more specifically is about the symbolism of the tumbleweed, what it actually represents, because obviously that's not in there for nothing. Did you think it was in there for nothing?
I think it represents tumbling.
You think it represents tumbling? Tumbling of weeds?
That's what it does.
Yeah. Well, more specifically, I think it actually represents the nature of the dude himself within the story.
He's tumbling?
He's the tumbleweed, so to speak. Because when you think about a tumbleweed, I mean, it's just tumbling aimlessly throughout something. And the dude...
Actually, a tumbleweed kind of rolls. Well, they call it a rolling weed.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. But, let's...
Tumble's more like flailing, I would think.
Well,
why would they call it flailing?
I think tumble implies that it's done on your own will. Like, you choose to tumble.
Or flailing weed.
I don't know.
That's the name of my new band. Flailing Weed.
Flailing Weed? Okay.
Rolling. I'm telling you, rolling dry plant.
Yeah. Okay, anyway.
Rolling dry ball of sticks.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that I think the tumbleweed represents the dude. In the way that, like, the dude, obviously, throughout much of the plot of this movie, and there is a plot. A lot of people say there is no plot. There is a plot. It's kind of secondary to a lot of other factors that we'll talk about later. If you manage to stick with us to that point and stuff, we've really gotten off the rails more than any other episode. But, hey, we warned you early on that...
Who knows where we'll go?
Exactly. But, do you understand what I'm saying about the tumbleweed?
Yeah.
and stuff. Like, the dude obviously had no intention to get involved in all the happenings of this movie and stuff. So he's the tumbleweed. He very much is just kind of drifting throughout the movie, rolling along and stuff, and going wherever the plot takes him. And it takes a lot of weird turns, and we'll talk about that a little more in depth later.
Yeah, but I don't think from the desert to the bridge to the city to the...
I think you're thinking too literal about this.
Oh, wait, though.
You're thinking too literal.
Wait.
Okay, give me...
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, the bridge is where the exchange happens. We'll get into that later. Then they go to the city.
Yes, the exchange of the money.
Right.
Well, the money.
Right.
The ringer
but
for
I
the
don't,
ringer.
Okay, the city I don't quite get. But then...
Well, it's Los Angeles, the
whatever.
city that the movie takes place in. Yes.
And then, but then it goes to the beach.
Uh-huh.
And that's towards the end.
Yes. Which we'll talk about more later.
I just now fucking picked up on that.
So you do get what I'm saying.
Every goddamn time I watch this movie, I learn something new.
Well, that's what I'm here for, to try to guide you. Because I didn't mention this earlier when I was talking about background and stuff. I've probably seen this movie, I'm not kidding, probably about 150 times.
Alright, I'm pretty sure, Matt, did you tweet that I was like, okay, why am I watching
this
movie?
I did. I tweeted... Joe mentioned, why are we even watching this movie when I could just sit here
I'm
and
gonna tell you right now, I could just have Matt sit in front of me and I go play The Big Lebowski and he could just say everybody's part. And it'd be the same thing.
I probably could, because like I said, I've seen this movie so many times. There was one summer where, and nobody wants to hear this, I'm not going to go into details, but I was going through kind of a rough time and stuff. So for one entire summer, I watched The Big Lebowski. I'm not kidding. At least part of it every single day. And most days it was the entire movie. Like I would watch it like, you know, as I was going to sleep or something like that. I would watch it every day.
2 movies I could do the same thing with.
Okay, yeah.
Number 1, Beauty and the fucking Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, like the animated one, obviously.
Hell yeah.
Not the...
Hell yeah.
Yeah, not the recent live action.
I can kind of keep up with the live action.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen it, but
it's okay.
I love Beauty and the Beast. By the way, I'm a huge. We mentioned all the way back in the anime episode that we were.
If I were walking down the street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. Okay.
Walking down the street, and then I looked forward,
and Emma
Watson was coming right at me,
and she said,
"Joe."
No, you say it.
Okay.
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
She's going to say, "Joe, take me now."
You would.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Well, you know.
And so...
I don't find her that attractive.
Well... Okay, we're not going to talk about Harry Potter.
Or Beauty and the Beast.
Well, none of that.
Talk about your other movie.
Okay, so the other movie, which I guarantee you a lot of people are like, and they just came out with a new one on Netflix that I didn't know about. Number 3. There is a second one. It sucks dick. But number 3, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
What's the movie?
Dragonheart.
Oh, wait, there's more than one Dragonheart?
Yes.
Really?
There's a second one. It sucks dick.
Okay, so let me just say, we're once again getting way off topic. Doesn't matter. I saw Dragonheart in like middle school. Mm-hmm. Like like one of the teachers showed it, like during school or something. Okay, that is, just to clarify, that is the one with Dennis Quaid and Sean Connery doing the voice
of the dragon. Yes.
Of the dragon. Okay.
That soundtrack as well. You were talking about soundtracks for movies. My favorite.
Well, I actually haven't yet.
Oh, we were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, we're going to get to that later.
Yeah, sorry.
We were going over the outline earlier.
All over the place.
And we've been drinking a lot of White Russian.
All over the place again. Anyway, that soundtrack, I used to like go to bed listening to that shit. And they use some tracks.
Okay, wait. So, is it a... I can't remember because it's been a while. Okay, so is it a score?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a soundtrack like it uses like popular
music.
No,
okay, it's a score.
It's a score.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So you liked it?
Oh, man. And that's going to be a movie that we're going to
we'll do an episode on it, for sure.
You fucks! It's going to be so good.
Oh, my God. Don't say that.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Don't call our viewers fucks.
No, I mean in a loving way.
Oh, in a loving way. Okay.
I mean, you fuck the people that you love.
Okay, guys, it's okay. We love you.
You
And
fuck.
Joe wants to fuck
You fuck the people you love.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Okay, so The Big Lebowski. Let's get back
I'm
on.
pretty sure that's what you do.
If you really love them, yes, and you make babies. Okay, so The Big Lebowski, in this movie, I want to talk about the casting. Because I personally, and I'm super biased when it comes to this movie and stuff, but I believe that the casting of this movie is perfect. That just every single role is perfectly cast. And actually, as a matter of fact, many of the roles in this movie were written for the actors that end up portraying the role. Like, for example, the Coen brothers said that they would not have made The Big Lebowski if Jeff Bridges hadn't agreed to play the dude.
I need you to stop right there.
Okay.
I have a problem with what you're saying.
With the casting?
Yes.
Okay, go for it.
Tara Reid.
Okay, we'll get to that later. Because I have that on the outline. We'll talk about Tara Reid.
So we're fucking...
No, don't get ahead. Because we're going to talk about what's good. So Jeff Bridges is great. One of the things that I love about Jeff Bridges is that he brings so much to the character of the dude through his facial expressions. I said when we were watching the movie, we watched the movie earlier. If you were following us on Twitter, you would know that we were watching the movie and also tweeting along as we watched it and stuff. But one of the things that Jeff Bridges does so well is bringing characterization through facial expressions. I mean, would you agree with that? That his facial expressions are some of the funniest parts of the movie are just the expressions that he makes.
Have you seen Tron?
I have seen Tron. It's been a while, but yeah.
1 and 2?
I haven't seen 2, actually.
Jeff Bridges is in that movie.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware he's in the movie.
Have you seen Grit?
Have I seen what?
Grit.
Grit?
Oh, no, True Grit.
True Grit, yes, I have.
The one with Jeff Bridges?
Huge Coen Brothers fan, dude. I've seen True Grit many, many times.
Oh, they directed that?
They sure as hell did.
I'm not the info guy.
I obviously, because you keep getting off topic.
I'm the nympho guy.
The nympho guy?
Yeah.
I'm sorry your stepmother's a nympho. No, it's not called nymphomania in men. It's called something else. What does she say? What Maud says in the movie?
Oh,
psoriasis? Is that right?
Sounds like a disease.
I know it does. Well, I guess it is.
It sounds like a just
It's
general
called
disease.
nymphomania in women. Whatever she says. Anyway, you were talking about Jeff Bridges.
Right. No, you were talking about Jeff Bridges.
No, I was talking about him, and then you cut in and started talking about Tron and Grit, as if I don't know what True Grit is. Come on. Okay.
Have you ever had grits?
I have had grits. I actually...
How do you like your grits?
What do you mean, how do I like them? Like, with what
like
in them?
Butter and
Yeah.
pepper and salt? Or
Yeah.
how do you take them?
Sometimes I like them with, like sweet.
I gotta tell
Like
you.
with honey or something.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually really good.
I'm gonna tell you this right now.
Go.
Just give me a second here.
Okay.
I went to the Omni Hotel like 2 years ago for my birthday.
This is a
My dad,
Big
my mom.
Lebowski podcast.
And it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's like $40 a person.
Wow.
And they had like some grits, like it was like hand stone grits.
You heard it here, people. They had grits.
I was like, what is that? Man, those grits were good.
Yeah. Well, you know what I actually had yesterday for the first time? It was yesterday. Yeah. Okay, yeah. It was yesterday. Okay, so at work, me and my coworker, we were like, let's order food for lunch. So we ordered food from this catfish place down in town and stuff. And we decided to get these things. They call them bobbers there because the whole thing is like themed around like river and fishing and stuff. But they're fried grits. So they're sort of like hush puppies made with
like in a ball?
Yeah, with grits. Like I said, they call them bobbers, and they have bacon and cheese and peppers and onions in them, and they are delicious.
Holy fucking shit!
A little cheesier than I was expecting, but not in a bad way.
Whoa.
Not in a bad way. Yeah.
How is something cheesy or too cheesy?
I didn't say they were too cheesy. I said they were cheesier than I expected.
Oh. I thought you were like complaining about the cheese factor.
No,
There's no way
I literally
anything could have more cheese.
I literally
than
said,
it's possible.
If you were listening, you would have heard that I literally
You
said
already
that
know that I don't.
You don't listen?
Yes.
Well, obviously, because we need to get back to the Big Lebowski.
Man, I want some of those things.
Okay, so obviously your thing about Jeff Bridges was going nowhere, so I'm going to move on to John Goodman.
Okay.
What do you think about John Goodman in this movie?
Okay.
In the Big Lebowski?
John Goodman in the Big Lebowski.
Yes.
I see what you walled me off there. John Goodman in this movie, the best. He's the best. He is my favorite.
Do you think he's, as far as acting goes, the strong point of this movie?
Yes, 100%.
He steals the show.
100%, I think.
I mean, Jeff Bridges is really good.
It's tight.
Yes.
It's tight, but I think John Goodman is the reason to watch this movie.
I would almost agree with you. I mean, because like you said, it's tight. It really is.
But I mean, again, both. Like we could watch it for Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's in basically every scene of the movie.
Right.
But we'll talk about that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
John Goodman's just like, man.
Well, John Goodman's a national treasure. I mean, when it comes to acting, I mean that guy's good in everything. Even the Flintstones movie. I mean, he's good.
Yeah, he's good in that too.
He is. And
Roseanne. Who's Barney?
Who's Barney? Rick Moranis.
Was he?
Yeah.
Ew.
Ooh. That's a great reaction. Oh my god. Woo. All right. So John Goodman though. What about Roseanne? We actually when we were watching the movie, as soon as John Goodman came on screen, we started talking about Roseanne instead of the Big Lebowski. So just briefly, even though it's off topic, let's talk about John Goodman. As far as sitcom performances go, I mean, John Goodman as Dan Connor is amazing.
Oh shit, yeah.
Probably one of the best.
Is the new episodes out?
No, not yet. Later this month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
However, I've heard from previews or people who watch them. I guess reporter reviewers. Or
early reviews.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah.
They say it's just as good.
Oh,
they're on point.
I cannot imagine that it would be any
and this
any worse.
Maybe a spoiler. Dan comes in and Roseanne's like, Dan, I thought you were dead.
Yeah.
And that's the joke.
Yeah.
And then remember because he dies.
For such a great series.
And that's it. And they just get it right out of the way in the beginning. Just fuck it.
Yeah.
Dan, I thought you were dead. And then moving forward. But no, John Goodman. You know what? I wish I had watched what was it, 13, whatever, Cloverfield Lane?
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it?
I didn't watch that.
Ooh, dude.
I started to, but I didn't finish it.
You need to see
but there's some other things I've seen with John Goodman, and just really love.
Well, I just want to throw out real quick. Once again, if I've said it once, I'm going to say it 1,000 times. Huge Coen Brothers fan and stuff, and John Goodman is a very frequent collaborator with the Coen Brothers, and he gives amazing performances in every single movie he's in. He's in Raising Arizona. That was his first Coen Brothers movie. He's in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He gives a fantastic performance in the movie Barton Fink, which is one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies. And most recently, he gives another fantastic performance in a very underrated Coen Brothers movie, Inside Llewyn Davis, which is probably my second favorite Coen Brothers movie after The Big Lebowski.
I still have that movie after you told me
I know,
to
we're going to watch it. We're going to watch it.
I still haven't watched it.
Well, we're going to, and you'll love it. I guarantee you will. Has great music in it. Actually, the music in that movie was done by the same guy who organized the soundtrack for this movie, The Big Lebowski, T-Bone Burnett, who also did the music for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And the Coen Brothers remake of The Lady Killers.
Wait.
Yeah.
He's named after a cut of steak?
Well, it's a nickname, T-Bone Burnett. It's not his actual legal name, but yeah.
Why would you name yourself after a cut of steak?
I don't know.
Wait a minute. He did the music for Lady Killers with
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And Marlon Wayans.
I love that movie.
I do too, even though it gets a lot of shit.
Yeah, it gets a lot of shit.
I mean, as far as a Coen Brothers movie goes, it's definitely...
and it's a Coen Brothers movie.
Yes. It's a lesser Coen Brothers movie, I would say, but, I mean, they're such great directors that it's still a really good movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, the reason I keep this guy around is because, well, number one, I pay his grandparents' rent. Number two, as you saw earlier...
I'm literally 50% of the podcast.
Yeah, like, without Matt, there wouldn't be this. But also, every time I hang out with Matt, it's like watching The Big Lebowski again. I learn something new every fucking time. So, there you go.
Well, I hope that translates to the viewers, too. I hope that they're learning as they listen to this and stuff, and have stuck around even though we've gotten off
telling you,
topic.
someone, I can't remember who it was, somebody commented and said, why don't you guys have videos?
And now we do.
Well, yeah. We had
as of today.
Three podcasts, then we had 3 videos. So,
and they've all happened today.
You asked for it. Like I said, you got it. And you know what? There may be another video at the end of this podcast. So I don't want to hear it.
Who knows?
Ever again.
Anyway.
Because
okay, so...
I love you all.
We're talking about the actors in the movie and stuff. John Goodman, I just want to say, because we really need to move on, as far as actors go, he is so good at conveying strong emotion, particularly anger. His outbursts are always very well acted.
That's why I like him.
Stuff. Oh yeah, it's great. Even in Roseanne, he does some really great outbursts. Some of the fights, like the domestic arguments in that show, are so real.
Yes.
Because he brings so much in anger and intensity and stuff, and I love that. He also does that really well in Barton Fink. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch Barton Fink.
You shit your pants a little.
Literally?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't. Did you?
Sure.
Okay. Well.
That's what makes it good.
Oh, well. You heard it here, folks. Okay, so then we have some of the smaller roles in this movie. We have Steve Buscemi, who plays Donnie, who doesn't really get a lot to do in this movie, but that's actually a reference, funny enough, to the Coen Brothers movie Fargo, which was the movie they directed right before The Big Lebowski, oddly enough.
You know what? I still don't think I've ever seen that movie.
You need to. You really do, because it's a companion piece to The Big Lebowski. There are tons of references to Fargo in The Big Lebowski.
Right.
And there's Easter eggs, little references to all the... Well, I don't know about all, but a lot of the Coen Brothers movies that were made before The Big Lebowski. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot with Fargo, and since this isn't a Fargo podcast, I'm not going to get into spoilers for Fargo or anything.
We are coming up on April, though.
We are, yeah.
Easter eggs.
Yeah, we are, and we might do something special for that. But we're
gonna color that shit.
Yeah, well, I have eggs. I have lots of eggs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're on a farm.
We didn't make a picture. We didn't do any video of the basket.
That will come later. But anyway, okay, so I'm not going to get into a lot of details about
Fargo. It's a 3-hour-long podcast.
Yeah, this is going to be really long. I'm not going to get into a lot of details about Fargo because I didn't warn about spoilers for Fargo, but I am going to say that Steve Buscemi is in Fargo, and his character talks a lot. Like, almost never shuts up. Is always talking and stuff. So the fact that in the follow-up movie, the very next movie the Coen Brothers directed, The Big Lebowski, every time his character Donnie tries to get a word in, John Goodman tells him to shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Shut the fuck up.
And that's a direct reference to the fact that in the other movie he doesn't shut up. And there's a lot of references like that too. But like I said, I'm not going to get into those.
Matt hid more shit from me about this stuff. I get.
Yeah, we have surprises just like
surprises,
just like in the Evil Dead. And I guess the other main actor in this movie that we should maybe mention is Julianne Moore, who plays Maud Lebowski in this movie, and you're making a disgusted face. You don't like Julianne Moore in this movie?
I don't know.
I'm asking in this movie, not in general. Do you think she's good in this movie?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I think I personally believe that she's absolutely fantastic in this movie.
Yeah.
And she does a great job portraying Maude and stuff. But obviously, you don't want to talk about that. So let's talk about some of the smaller roles in this movie. Some of the like little, just kind of bit part, so to speak, little roles. What? I can't think of a single one that's terribly cast. I know earlier you started to mention Bunny.
Yeah, I don't.
Which is Tara Reid's
Yeah,
character.
I think, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to be totally retarded here, but was Tara Reid in, like, American Pie?
Yes, she was.
Okay.
She absolutely was.
She was fine in that movie.
She's fine in this movie.
Get out of the Big Lebowski, man.
She's fine. It's a character that calls for so little of an actress that literally anybody, they could have got some blonde off the street to play that role.
I didn't think she had to be blonde.
And I didn't say she did. I just was using that as an example because she is blonde in the movie. They could have gotten any woman to play that role, and it would have been fine because basically the entire role hinges on how well you deliver this one particular line, which is when she says, "I'll suck your cock for $1,000," which I think she delivered just fine, but as far as acting goes, that's not very difficult to do. So I think Tara Reid is fine in this movie. You're making a face.
What's her name? Sarah Gray.
Sasha Grey?
No, yeah! There you go.
Why do we know this?
Nice. I think that is that the fucking one they were going to cast?
No.
Oh. I was like, wow, I guess it?
No, I told Joe beforehand that the Coen brothers had a different actress.
I think Sasha Grey should have played that role.
Was she even around at that time?
No.
98?
I don't know.
She's pretty young. Why do we know so much about Sasha Grey?
Because we love porn. Okay, so okay.
Do you know who the Coen brothers had in mind for the role of Bunny?
Who? I want to know.
Charlize Theron.
That would have been so much. Holy fuck.
That would have been better.
Yeah.
That would have been better.
If she was laying on that fucking lounge chair and she turned around, she was like, "Suck." What'd she say?
I'll suck your cock for $1,000.
She said that.
Yeah. You would have liked that.
Fountains.
Woo! Fountains. Okay, so you think that would have been better casting?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah. Well, it probably would have been, but I mean, the role calls, like I said before, it calls for so little that it really makes not a lot of difference. But I would have liked to see Charlize Theron in this movie.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
It would have been nice.
Then she can go off and fight zombies.
She definitely would have, her name would have fit in the credits better than Tara Reid, alongside of actors like Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, John Turturro, and stuff like that.
Plus, when she says, "I'll suck your cock for $1,000," it would have been way hotter.
I suppose it would have been.
Yes!
Yeah. Tara Reid was hot at that time.
Alright.
And she got all that weird surgery and stuff that made her stomach look
Yeah,
all
I mean,
weird.
I guess she was popular because of the pod fucking movies.
Well, this was before that.
It was?
I believe so. This was 98.
I thought it was around the same time.
It was before. I believe American Pie was 99. I may be wrong.
I have no idea.
If you know.
Comment below!
Yeah.
Alright, moving on.
Okay, so one of the toughest casting decisions for this movie, because I mentioned way, 30 minutes ago, that the Coen brothers had most of the roles in this movie. They had a particular actor or actress in mind for who they wanted to play. A lot of the people in this movie were actors that they had worked with before and would continue to work with throughout their own careers. John Goodman, Steve Buscemi, who was in Miller's Crossing and Fargo before this. Oh, and Barton Fink. And the Hudsucker Proxy. He had been in a lot of Coen Brothers movies. You had John Turturro, who had been in Miller's Crossing before this. You had John Polito, who had been in Miller's Crossing before this and would later be in things like The Man Who Wasn't There. John Polito, by the way, played DeFino, the private eye in the Volkswagen. Joe's making a face like he doesn't know who I'm talking about.
Well, I know who the guy in the Volkswagen is, but I don't know who... I have no idea what these other movies are you're talking about.
Okay, they're Coen Brothers movies. We're going to do a Coen Brothers episode.
Okay, well, I
somewhere down
figured.
there. Yeah. But anyway, so the role in particular that they didn't necessarily have a particular person in mind was the role of the Big Lebowski himself, and that is the old man, the rich Lebowski, the guy in the wheelchair, who is played in the movie by an actor named David Huddleston, who I believe does a fantastic job. I mean, he is that character. I don't know that I could imagine any of these other actors.
Is he in anything else? Because I don't recognize him.
You want to know something? I know for a fact that he's like a veteran actor who's been in a lot of stuff, but I can't, for the life of me, think of a single thing that I've seen him in that I recognize him. I might have seen him in something, but I can't recognize him. The only thing that I know him from that I for sure have seen him in, and I know it's him, is the Christmas episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's in.
What does he do in that one?
He plays like one of the old men in like the thing where Frank, like during that whole thing where Frank's inside the couch. Have you seen that?
Is he in a wheelchair?
I can't remember I can't remember that.
Hey, guys, if you know anything else that Frank Huddleston?
David Huddleston.
I'm sorry. David Huddleston's been in. Comment below.
God rest his soul.
Yeah.
He actually died in, I believe, 2016. But, even though I don't know a whole lot about him, I do think he absolutely nails this role.
Yeah.
He's really good
totally agree.
in this. But here's sort of the list of some of the actors that the Coen brothers considered for the role of the Big Lebowski. They apparently offered it to Robert Duvall.
Okay.
They offered it to Anthony Hopkins, Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, eating people.
Yeah. Who turned it down. Robert Duvall also turned it down.
Robert Duvall. Yeah.
They offered it to Gene Hackman.
Mm-hmm.
Who was well, I guess not temporarily. He wasn't acting at that time.
Okay.
And stuff, and apparently they had a whole list of actors that they considered. Apparently, even Andy Griffith was considered.
What?
Possibly for the role of. Could you imagine that?
No.
Like, I could almost see Anthony Hopkins or Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman, absolutely.
Yes.
Anthony Hopkins, yeah.
Robert Duvall, I don't know if I could.
No.
But Andy Griffith?
No.
You see that?
If it was Andy Griffith and that's what they went with, I probably would hate the goddamn movie.
I don't know that I would hate it because I have.
I'd be like, what the fuck is this guy?
I don't know that I would hate it, but because I have confidence that the Coens could have.
Every time he'd wheel himself into a room, I'd be like,
yeah. Well, I just want to say that I believe. Okay, stop listening. I believe that the Coen brothers could have gotten a good performance out of Andy Griffith in this movie, but can I imagine it? No, I can't imagine it at all. But I do want to mention that. I do want to mention. I'm glad you know the entire Andy Griffith, the tune of the theme song.
he's like walking down to that lake with the boy, and he's got a fishing rod.
Yes, that boy is Ron Howard.
It is?
Oh my God. You didn't know that? That Opie was played by Ron Howard?
No.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
I thought he was on, what the fuck?
Arrested Development?
No.
He's the narrator.
No.
Happy Days?
Yes.
Okay, he was, but he was also the kid on Andy Griffith. Anyway. Okay, so you want to know who the Coen brothers' ideal choice for the Big Lebowski was? Like, who they wanted more than anybody else?
Who?
Give me a drum roll. Marlon Brando!
Oh, fuck me rotten. What?
Marlon Brando.
Huh?
I am a gigantic fan of Marlon Brando.
Wait, wasn't he like all old and fat then, though?
Yes, which is what the Big Lebowski, the
What?
character.
Ha ha ha
Yes.
ha. Stop.
Uh-huh. Stop.
There's no way. Can you imagine Marlon Brando in fucking Ralph's getting the happen? He'd be like fucking...
Okay, whoa. You're thinking of the wrong character. We're talking about the Big Lebowski, not the dude, the old man.
Oh.
Oh my God, Joe.
Whoops.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Man, I went off the wrong track there. Well, I don't know. When did The Island of Dr. Moreau come out?
96, I believe.
So before The Big Lebowski.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so, no. Because all I could think of the whole time was like, that's a cat fucking lord.
Okay.
Yeah, so no.
Well, I
stand by what I was saying.
I love Marlon Brando.
But also, can you imagine Marlon Brando standing in front of the Half and Half in Ralph's?
As the dude?
Yeah, checking it out.
I would like to see a version of the movie where not John Goodman, Marlon Brando plays every role. Including
Brando.
Bunny.
Everybody.
Can you imagine him painting his
I'll
toenails?
fuck your dick for $1,000.
I'm making an offer you can't refuse.
He's gonna take every rug in the fucking house.
Oh my God.
You don't fuck with Jesus.
Oh my God, this is great. I would pay every cent that I have in my possession to see that movie where Marlon Brando.
Tickets are $400. Here you are.
I'd pay it. Okay, so I like Brando, but I think David Huddleston really does a great job.
Oh yeah.
In this. But just for the sake of discussion here, of those names that I threw out for possible replacement Lebowskis, who do you think would have been the best besides David Huddleston? We got Duvall, Hackman, Hopkins, Andy Griffith, Brando. Who would you like to see?
You know what happened today? I got a call from Jamaica.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
I got 2 calls from Jamaica. The first call, I don't know what happened. I was like, hello? Nobody answered. I just heard a bunch of background talking. And I hung up. And then they called me back.
Yep.
Jamaica called me back.
Jamaica.
And I answered the phone. And the guy says, hello, my name is John Cooper. This dude's name was not John Cooper.
Yeah.
Because his voice was, I wouldn't say robotic, but almost robotic. And
Look, can I stop you for just a second?
what?
Does this have anything to do with who you would have wanted to play the
Will
Big
you
Lebowski?
just go with me? Maybe I want John Cooper to play the Big Lebowski.
Okay, fine. That wasn't
Shut
one
the
of the
fuck up and listen to my story.
That wasn't one of the options, but
Okay.
go.
Anyway, so he's like, Mr. McClane, do you live in Texas? And I'm like, I haven't lived in Texas for like 6 years. He's like, well, do you live in Memphis? I was like, no, Memphis is 4 hours away. And he's like, well, you have been entered into Publishers Clearinghouse. You can win blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna cut out a lot of the stuff. You can win this, you can win that. And he's like, you can either get your prize publicly or get it privately. If you get it publicly, you must pay $400 and something.
Yeah.
And if you get it privately, you must pay $200 and something. I said, I have to pay money to get my prize? And I said, no thank you. And click. So, who I would like to play the Big Lebowski, because this dude really pushed. Like, I was listening to him for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not even shitting you.
Mm-hmm.
John Cooper.
That wasn't one of the choices.
I don't care. He's a free agent.
I pick Anthony Hopkins. Anyway, so
I think Gene Hackman would have been really good.
he probably would have been.
Marlon Brando would have been terrible.
I don't think he would have been terrible, but I have a hard time picturing it.
Yeah, because all I can see is him.
He's a good actor, and
like,
the Coens are good directors.
With
so
cancer and whatever.
Okay. Moving on.
What are you tapping on?
I'm just tapping to get your attention.
Oh.
Alright, so, okay, so then we have probably the most iconic of the small roles in this movie, which is John Turturro playing the Jesus, which was actually a character that he created himself. It wasn't the Coen brothers' originally creation, but they got his permission to use the character in their movie and stuff because they were good friends and stuff. He had created it for a play, I believe, just the general character, not all the aspects like the bowling and all that stuff. That was their idea
So he was like a Spanish guy called the Jesus.
A Spanish guy called the Jesus, yes, exactly. With the same mannerisms and speaking voice and stuff.
Just no bowling ball.
Huh?
No bowling ball.
Yeah, that was all added
What
in.
ball did he put in front of him then?
I don't know that he did. I don't think that's necessary.
What the fuck is he licking on then?
Who said anything about him licking anything?
That's what he does.
Yeah, I in the movie,
Oh.
but this was in like a play.
Oh, the play he doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't lick any balls in the play.
Maybe he does.
Oh, all right.
Maybe he licks
I
balls.
mean, I haven't seen it. I don't know.
I haven't either.
Okay.
And then of course another very iconic of the smaller roles is the role of the stranger, played brilliantly by Sam Elliott.
Man, that guy knocks it out of the park every time he does something.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk more in depth about the character of the stranger later, but I just want to say a little bit about his casting. That role was actually written for Sam Elliott and stuff. That wasn't one they had to cast and stuff. And when they were filming his scenes and stuff, he appears kind of out of nowhere at like the bowling alley at the bar. He's also the narrator of the movie.
At the beginning.
He's sort of an omniscient narrator who almost seems to be watching as we are, watching the events unfold, so he knows things that are going on and stuff. Well, he's the narrator at the beginning, and then he also has a small little bit of narration right before the dude's hallucination, dream, dance sequence, which we'll also talk about in just a moment, hopefully, if Joe doesn't get off topic again and start talking about a call from Jamaica that he received.
I'm going to shut up for a little while and let you take us where we're supposed to go.
That sounds great. So apparently, when they were filming Sam Elliott's scenes for this movie and stuff, Sam Elliott himself, like, he actually asked, "What am I doing in this movie? Like, what is the point of my character?" And they were like, "Just go with it," and stuff. So even he questioned what role the stranger plays in this movie. But we'll talk about that a little more later.
He looked at the Coen brothers and went, "What in the fuck?"
Exactly.
I like him even more now.
I know. What was your favorite small role? Let's get off the casting, but I want to end on this. What was your favorite of the small roles in this movie? Just the little, like, bit parts.
I know exactly what I want to say.
Say it.
I like the 3 Russian guys.
The Russian guys?
Yeah, the guys with Flea and what's his fuck?
They were German.
Wait, they weren't Russian?
No, they were German. It was Peter Stormare and Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and another guy, but they were German.
But the dude, the one guy, the guy that kind of leads them?
Peter Stormare.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's Russian.
No.
He's Russian in Armageddon.
I don't care if he is. They're the characters are German.
He's Russian in this movie.
Well, he's German, and it says that in the movie that they're Germans. So let's...
No, he's on the space station. He's like, "I'm the Russian station, I'm in charge." Russian space station, I'm in charge.
You're just thinking because we've been drinking White Russians all night, we've been doing these accents. Mine's really bad.
So they're not Russian.
Mine sounds like a French guy trying to do a Russian
You sound
accent.
like a drunken French guy.
I'm trying to do a Russian accent.
Wait, so they're not Russian?
No, they're Germans. They're nihilist.
That's got nothing to do with their nationality.
It's a whole thing about the movie. Whatever. Anyway, so that's your favorite of the little bit parts is Flea.
Yeah.
My favorite is I don't know, I can't pronounce his last name, but it's David whatever his name is. He's actually in Dragonheart, I believe. Willis Liths. It's like Thewlis, whatever. He's in Wonder Woman.
You're right,
He's in Fargo, and he plays Knox Harrington, the video artist.
He is
in this
the
movie.
bad guy in Dragonheart.
He sure
He's got
is.
long red hair.
Yeah. And he's my favorite of the small roles in this movie. But I also got to give props to the guy that plays the dude's landlord, Marty, who in his short little parts is really funny. And also the cab driver. That guy's hilarious. Not even just the cab driver. The limo driver is really funny.
Oh yeah,
that guy.
I can't complain.
I got a rash on my ass.
Man, I got a rash on my ass too.
That guy's Anyway, so I think that's about enough about the casting. But we did mention Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Makes a small little musical cameo.
I'm going to go ahead and say right now that I fucking hate the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't like them.
I don't like him either, but I do enjoy seeing Flea pop up.
I like Flea.
I like seeing him pop up.
Anthony Kiedis can suck my ass.
Yeah, he looks like Justin Long a little bit.
Fucking retarded.
Yeah.
I hate him. Fuck you, Anthony Kiedis.
If you're listening, Anthony Kiedis.
Hey, for Flea, if you're listening, well job, man. Keep it up.
Yeah, Flea's fine. He's in Back to the Future and.
Wait, he is?
Yeah. Well, no, I take that back. He's in Back to the Future Part 2, and I think he might be in.
But he is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He sure is. Yeah.
Well job, Flea.
Yeah. Anyway, making another musical cameo in this movie is Amy Mann.
Who the fuck is that?
Well, she plays the nihilist girlfriend that sacrifices her toe for...
Wait, who's Amy Mann?
Amy Mann is a singer who, and I'm going to be honest, I don't really know all that much about her. Joe's left the room, so I'm going to take this moment to just talk about Amy Mann just a little bit. The only thing that I really know Amy Mann from is she did music for Paul Thomas Anderson's movie Magnolia, which is a fantastic movie that I really like, and that's about all I know. And she was in The Big Lebowski. She played the chick that sacrificed her toe and stuff with the green nail polish and stuff. And Joe's back in the room, and he's not coming back to the recording session. So I'm going to move on. Since we're talking about musical cameos, I want to talk about the music in The Big Lebowski, the soundtrack specifically, which was, as I mentioned earlier, curated by T-Bone Burnett and features...
The steak guy.
The steak guy, yes. As you call him and stuff. And it features music by... and I'm biased, once again, I'm incredibly biased when it comes to most aspects of this movie, but The Big Lebowski is my favorite soundtrack of all time. Not just my favorite movie, but it has my favorite soundtrack. Because one, I'm a huge fan of Creedence. They're my favorite band of all time, probably. It also features music by Kenny Rogers in the first edition. We mentioned earlier Sons of the Pioneers, the Tumbling Tumbleweed song, Bob Dylan, among others. Joe, what do you think about the soundtrack of this movie?
I mean... So...
Because Joe is more the music guy, I would say.
Yeah, but...
I mean, we both are music guys, but Joe definitely knows more about music and can
right
talk
off
about
the
it
bat,
in a little more detail.
I mean, this is going to be something that people are really going to contend with me on, as I'm not a big classic rock fan.
Really?
Yeah. And
I did not know that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that people are like, huh?
So you have no roots?
Not really.
No.
I don't... those kind of older bands I don't like. However, the psychedelic Kenny Rogers in the first edition song.
Yeah. Which was from the late 60s, I believe.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yes, and that's during one of my favorite scenes of the movie, which is this hallucination sequence where the dude's been drugged, and he... First off, I just want to say, I'm a sucker for a dance sequence. I love movies that... And I'm not talking about movies that are like dancing movies that obviously have a lot of dance sequences. I'm talking about random, out-of-the-blue dance sequences in
all
movies.
syncopated and everybody's dancing together.
Yeah, like, for example, Pulp Fiction. The whole dance with John Travolta and Uma Thurman. Love that scene because of the dance. The movie Ex Machina. Have you seen it?
I haven't. I want to. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, well, it has a really good, just random dance sequence in it. Yeah. Oscar Isaac, who is who's Inside Llewyn Davis, which I mentioned earlier. He's also in Star Wars. He plays Poe Dameron in the new Star Wars
Who's
trilogy.
the new Dick?
Huh?
By the way. Have you seen The Last Jedi?
Are you talking about his dick?
No. He's
What?
the new... He's a dick.
Oh, he is a dick.
In the
Oh my
movie.
god. Yeah.
He's the new Dick.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Have you seen the movie?
I haven't seen The Last Jedi. I've seen The Force Awakens.
Then you don't know what I'm talking about.
I get what you're saying. I don't know specifically what you're
How do you
talking
know
about.
what I'm saying?
Huh? That he's a dick?
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. That his character is a dick. He's
You don't get that from The Force Awakens.
I got it from what you were saying.
You have to see... You tap that board one more time and I'm going to throw you into the wall. No!
Joe is referencing the fact that I have had to write on my dry erase board that he needs to stay the fuck on topic, and I keep tapping it with my finger. Because otherwise this podcast is going to be 17 hours long.
Off the rails. Okay. What were we talking about?
I just want to talk about the dance sequence in the
Okay.
Lebowski.
Yeah, I mean, he goes down the alley looking up chick skirts. I love the song.
Okay, so first
Saddam
off,
Hussein, who's dead now.
yeah, first off, Saddam Hussein is the guy working
cleaning-
the
he's cleaning shoes.
bowling shoes.
He's cleaning shoes.
At the counter and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite thing about this scene is, okay, so first off, it's set up sort of like a porno film and stuff. The fact that it says Jackie Treehorn presents, and then the whole thing with the bowling balls and the bowling
Gutter
pin.
balls.
Yeah, and it's called Gutter Balls and stuff. So it's set up like a porno, and then the dude comes in, he's wearing the same outfit that Uli Kunkel / Carl Hungus is wearing in the actual porn film we see earlier in the movie called Logjam, and he's wearing the Cable Man outfit. You can imagine where it goes from here. He fixes the cable.
Every time.
Don't be fatuous, Jeffrey.
Every time I hear Cable Man.
You think of the cable guy.
Are you in my fucking head right now? Jim Carrey all the way!
You know?
Yes.
Do you know? Hey!
Tap that board one more fucking time!
Okay,
One more time!
Fine, I'm gonna get off topic for a second. Do you know who directed the cable guy?
Wait.
Do you know who directed the cable guy?
Yeah, Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller. Wow, you knew that. I'm glad.
I like
you
Jim Carrey and shit.
did. Okay, fine. So he comes in wearing the Cable Man uniform and stuff, and then Maud is wearing the like Viking outfit with the bowling ball breastplates and all that stuff, and then the chicks are dancing with the bowling pin thing. The thing that I find so funny about this scene, why I love it so much, almost like peacocks and stuff. The thing that I love so much about this scene that makes it so funny is the fact that this is the dude's subconscious projecting like the most erotic scenario that he can conjure up is like with all this bowling and stuff aspects. Like to him, this is like the peak sexual experience for him, and I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think that's hilarious.
Why is it funny?
What? It's funny because that's the most erotic scenario that the dude can come up with.
It's not bad.
It's not. I'm not saying it is. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Why don't you chastise some more erotic fantasies, sir?
I'm not. I like it. I think it's hilarious.
Okay, erotic fantasies are not hilarious.
Whatever. This one is. You didn't think that was funny?
No, I thought it was awesome.
You thought it was erotic?
I mean, I probably...
Of course you did, pillow fucker.
Yeah, that was good. I like it when he goes up the skirt. I wish I could have seen up the skirts, though.
Well, you can, because, well, you can.
Really?
I mentioned.
I'm glad you said that, Joe. Well, you can.
I mentioned to you that Jeff Bridges is like one of his biggest hobbies is photography and stuff, and he took a lot of photos behind the scenes. He took a lot of photos behind the scenes. Would you let me finish? He took a lot of photos behind the scenes while filming the movie and stuff.
I hate the
And
fuck that board ever came into this
One
house.
of the photos that he took is actually during that scene where he's going between the girls' skirts, and it's actually a really good picture. We'll probably put it up on Twitter. Put the picture up. It was done during the scene when he's going between the girls' legs, and
we do live in Tennessee, folks.
Yeah, we sure do. And
except I don't have an accent.
Anyway, so that's what I like about that dance sequence. And while we're talking about the music and stuff in the movie, I do want to mention the fact that every bit of music, and I pointed this out to you, and you had never noticed it before, but all the music used in the soundtrack of the movie is actually done through the use of diegetic sound.
No.
What?
Are you going to drink your drink?
This?
No, not the pickle juice.
This?
Yeah, you going to drink it? No, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
I don't know why you had to stop the podcast for that. Joe was flailing his hand at me, asking me if I was going to So basically,
what were you saying?
So basically, my co-host is leaving the room again. So
I'm not leaving. I'm here.
He walked out of the room.
What were you talking about?
I'm talking about how every bit of music used in this movie is done through diegetic sound. And for those of you who don't know, diegetic sound is sound that is actually being played within the scene of the movie. So it's sound that the characters can hear. It's not like a soundtrack that only the audience can hear. It's actually
Dragonheart.
Well, that's a score, not a soundtrack, but those are different things. Joe's yelling.
Soundtrack.
Joe's not exactly. No, it's not. Joe's yelling about Dragonheart. That's his favorite movie, and we will do an episode on it in the future. Joe's not in the room. Once again, I'm going to throw that out there. So that gives me an opportunity to keep this podcast going, and I'm wasting it, so I'm not doing a very good job. But diegetic sound, yeah. So basically, anytime you hear music in the movie, it's playing through some sort of speaker within the scene. So whether it's out of dude's car radio, the radio in the bowling alley, or somewhere else, the music is sound that the music is sound that the characters can actually hear themselves within the movie, and I really like that. So that's basically all I wanted to say about the music. Joe's getting a sausage or something. He just sat it on the floor. So I want to move on to the plot of the movie, which, as I mentioned before, a lot of people seem to think that this movie doesn't exactly have a plot.
Well, they're fucking wrong!
They are wrong, because it does have a plot, and it actually has a really good plot. It is complicated, perhaps overly complicated, and it definitely does take a backseat to many of the other aspects of the movie, which is it's a very character-driven movie, so a lot of the dialogue and just the interactions that the characters have sort of takes center stage and pushes the plot over to the side. But there is a plot and stuff. And basically the idea of this movie, what the Coen brothers were going for, is that it's sort of a satirical take, sort of poking fun at the noir genre. Sort of this detective genre. That, for God's sakes.
What?
Stop that.
What?
Joe came back and he's crinkling a sausage wrapper.
What's wrong?
Oh my God. Whew.
What are you talking about?
Anyway, so I really won't get into this episode. Okay.
Well, what's fucking do it?
So, basically,
the sausage.
The Coens were mostly inspired by an author named Raymond Chandler, who was known for writing noir stories and stuff, detective stories. Particularly, they were inspired by his book, The Big Sleep, which was also made into a movie. I believe Howard Hawks directed or produced it or something. I'm not sure. But that's really irrelevant. But basically, Raymond Chandler's stories commonly consisted of a detective, private investigator, something like that, that was trying to, in some way, investigate a case, usually involving a missing person, a kidnapping, something like that, similar to this movie. And along the way, they encounter all these colorful characters, and basically the plot gets overly complicated and stuff. But what the Coens were trying to do is they were sort of trying to subvert that by making the dude their detective. So he goes against basically every archetype of the typical noir detective you can imagine. And they basically make like the most difficult scenario they possibly can and put the most, or not the most, but the least, I should say, the least qualified person possible in charge of trying to solve this case. And I think it's really interesting that, like, the dude throughout the whole movie has very little clue of what's going on. He does, early on, come up with the suspicion that Bunny has perhaps kidnapped herself, which ends up sort of being right later on. Walter definitely kind of runs with that theory more than the dude does. But the dude sort of comes up with that theory, but through most of the movie, he really doesn't do all that much detective work. Most of the aspects of the of what actually kind of helps the case unfold kind of happens on their own and stuff. Really, the only piece of detective work that really the dude does is during the scene where he's at Jackie Treehorn's garden party.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's talking to Jackie Treehorn, and Jackie gets a phone call and leaves the room. And before he leaves the room, he writes something on a little notepad and stuff. And he rips off the page as he leaves, and he goes out of the room.
What does he write on the notepad?
Well, we find out because the dude, for the first time in the entire movie, actually kind of does some detective work. He comes up with a clever idea, and what he does is he goes over to the notepad, he takes a pencil, and he kind of does one of these things. And he takes the pencil and he scratches over the paper to see what was last written on the notepad. Right. And it ends up being a picture of a sort of a man with a giant dick. Just a humongous dick. And the thing that's so funny about that is that, like I said, that's really the first detective work the dude actually did in the movie. And he literally came up with dick. Have you heard that expression? Like, where people are like, oh, you know, like, I got dick, like I didn't get anything.
Like this?
Like that, yeah. That's what the dude, Joe's holding up his sausage. He's also videoing this for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, continue.
So, literally, the dude got dick, basically, with his investigation and stuff. And I think that's really funny. So, is there anything you want to say about the plot of the movie? Specifically?
I mean, it is. Okay.
What do you want to say about the plot?
Well, I was going to say something and you started yelling at me.
Say something. I didn't yell.
Whisper yell.
Say something.
Whisper yell.
Say something about the plot.
Alright. So, the thing I like about the plot is it all starts with somebody pissing on a rug.
Yes, the rug, which sort of serves as the catalyst that makes all these events unfold.
Which is totally cliche to say about this movie, but it really tied the room together.
It definitely did.
And I think it's my favorite part, to be honest with you.
The opening when he pees on the rug is your favorite part?
Just beginning, and when they smash his face into the toilet.
And the bowling ball.
The fuck is this? Obviously, you're not a golfer.
I know, I love that too. That is a really good scene. Also, I pointed this out to you, but you notice that Jackie Treehorn's thugs and stuff, they change clothes.
They change shirts, yeah. I didn't notice that.
Which is really
before.
Weird. Sort of like in...
It's funny.
Sort of like in Return of the Jedi, when Lando just, for some reason, all of a sudden is wearing Han Solo's clothes.
You're like, what the fuck?
For like no apparent.
You're like, huh?
Yeah. So these two guys, the white guy and then the Asian guy, the Chinaman, as they keep calling, his name's Wu, but he
pisses on the rug.
For some reason, they change clothes later when they come up in the movie. It's really weird. if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or maybe you haven't noticed it before and we just taught you something, and I have no idea why. But yeah, the rug definitely kind of kickstarts the chain of events and stuff, because all dude ever wanted was his rug back. He, as he says in the movie.
I would say that.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to cut you off, but actually I haven't been talking too much here for a minute.
I know.
But
you were stuffing your face with sausage.
Shut up. I do love the sausage. I would say that, but I would also say that when John Goodman's like talking about the dog.
Oh, that's one of your favorite scenes?
Fucking dog has fucking papers.
Yeah.
It will lose its hair.
It's a show dog. You can't board it. It gets upset. Its hair falls out. Yeah, that whole thing. That's really funny too.
And then the
fact that they call it a Pomeranian,
yeah,
it's clearly not a
clearly
Pomeranian.
not. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, that's not a Pomeranian.
That's all really funny.
And then I would go ahead and say again, John Goodman, the gun with Smokey going over the line.
Yeah, which immediately comes after the. Actually, those lines kind of run together because he's like, fucking dog has fucking papers. Over the line! Over the line! And it immediately goes into the very famous thing. There's actually memes and stuff created around when Walter's holding the gun on Smokey and stuff and getting him to mark his frame a 0.
Damn it, mark it 0!
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you crazy fuck.
Since you mentioned Walter, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that, isn't it kind of odd, the fact that the dude and Walter managed to be friends at all?
I wonder how they met.
It's interesting because the dude, we learn about his character. First off, I really quick want to say that both the dude and Walter are characters that are inspired by real people.
Walter is too?
Yes, the dude was inspired by a producer that the Coens met while they were trying to get their first movie, Blood Simple, made. And his name is Jeff Dowd, but he also goes by the nickname of the dude and dresses in a similar sort of slacker fashion.
Really?
He actually, in the movie, dude mentions that he was an author of the Port Huron Statement and a member of the Seattle Seven. Well, Jeff Dowd, that's his real life story. He was a member of the Seattle Seven. And
the fuck is that?
It was a group that had organized a protest in Seattle that was like anti-Vietnam, and they got arrested for apparently like wanting to start a riot or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, he was a real anti-war guy, which is something I want to mention about Dude later. But back to the fact that they're based on real people. So yeah, those are real aspects of that guy that were put into the character of the dude. And then Walter is actually based on Hollywood screenwriter John Milius, or Milius. I might be saying his name wrong. He's also a director who's most famous for writing the scripts of Apocalypse Now, Jaws. He directed Conan the Barbarian and
with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes, and Red Dawn.
Huh?
And he wrote those as well. He also wrote the Dirty Harry films and stuff. And yeah, if you look up a picture of this guy, John Milius, whatever his name is, he looks a lot like Walter.
Oh my god!
Like they based Walter's physical appearance, the goatee, the glasses, and haircut and stuff, off of this guy. And he considers himself to be pretty obsessed with the Vietnam War, even though he didn't actually serve in the war and stuff. But he did write Apocalypse Now, so he obviously did have some obsession that led to him writing a movie based on it and stuff. Even though I believe it was based on a book, but he felt deeply enough about it that he wanted to write the movie, which is a classic.
So he's a dork.
I wouldn't call him a dork. I would call him a slightly obsessive artist.
It's a war dork.
Whatever. Anyway, so he does look a lot like Walter, though. If you look up the guy, he looks a lot like Walter. We'll actually do that a little later.
Put it on Twitter, maybe.
Yeah.
If you know, comment below.
We'll do like a side-by-side comparison and stuff. Anyway, what I was talking about is the fact that Dude and Walter managed to be friends at all. Because Dude, because he mentions the Port Huron statement, being part of the Seattle 7. He mentions being a pacifist. He was anti-war, anti-Vietnam and stuff. Yet Walter is such a proud, gun-toting Vietnam veteran and stuff. The fact that they managed to be able to sit in the same room, much less be best friends, is kind of amazing and kind of adds a whole level of comedy to the movie.
Well, if you want to talk about that, you and I kind of. What is that?
Oh, go ahead.
What was that look you just did?
Go ahead.
I wish we were recording right now. What was that?
Go ahead.
If you want to get into that, how are we friends? You're the complete opposite of me.
Well, we're definitely different sides of the spectrum.
I'm kind of like a lazy piece of shit kind of guy. I don't work. Well, I work, but I go to work and I come home. That's it. And then you got animals and what else? The kids that you take care of, and then all this other stuff.
School.
Yeah. Like we're kind of opposite in that way.
Well, I guess in a similar way to the Dude and Walter, what we're talking about is it's their common interest that really keeps them together, which is the bowling league and stuff that Walter obviously feels very passionate about. And I guess that's sort of like with us, like our common interest in media and stuff is what kind of keeps us together.
Simpsons,
movies, and
get into later.
All kinds of stuff.
And you rolled your eyes at me.
I didn't know where you were going, but anyway.
You knew where I was going.
Anyway, Dude and Walter. I mentioned the fact that the bowling league seems to keep them together. One of the things that I like about the movie that keeps coming up is the fact that, when the dude gets frustrated, he'll, say, like, fuck you, Walter. And that doesn't faze Walter at all. But if he says anything about the tournament, like, fuck the tournament, that's what offends Walter.
You're freaked out.
My favorite quote in the entire movie, my absolute favorite quote in the movie, is when they're talking on the phone after the dude's car gets smashed up when they go to confront Larry Sellers. Mm-hmm. And dude's back home and he's nailing the board to the floor to prop the door up, prop the chair up on the door and stuff to keep people from breaking in, which has happened many times at this point in the movie. And they're talking on the phone, and we can't hear Walter, but he mentions that there's an unspoken message here or whatever. And the dude says, this is my favorite quote, he says, you know what, Walter, you're right. There is an unspoken message here. It's fuck you! Leave me the fuck alone! And then Walter, we don't hear what he asked, but the dude's very next thing is, yeah, I'll be at practice. Because Walter was not fazed by the dude saying fuck you. He was just worried if dude was going to show up for bowling practice. So that's what Walter feels most passionate about and
let me go ahead
cares the most about.
Well, let me go ahead and say something about that.
Yeah.
I used to bowl in a bowling league.
Did you?
I did. And when you pay to bowl in the bowling league, no shit. I mean, it's like for a year's time. It costs like $500.
Yeah.
All the way through.
Really?
You're paying for every game or whatever. You either pay it all right up front or you pay as you go along. Total, not including whether you don't have a ball or a bag, whatever the fuck. But to pay to be in the league is like $500. And at the end, you get some of that money back.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously not all of it.
Uh-huh.
Because some of it goes to the league. I completely understand where Walter's coming from. I'd be pissed as fuck, too. I just put $500 in this shit. You better get your ass to practice when you get in the game.
Well, I don't think it's just that. I think it does have something to do with that. That's something that Walter feels very deeply about. And, I mean, let's face it, outside of the dude and Donnie, what does Walter really have?
It's the new nom for him.
We know he's divorced.
New nom.
Yeah, it's his new, it's what gets him through life, yeah.
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 New nom.
Anyway, some other aspects I want to talk about the movie is I love the fact that the dude repeats stuff that he hears other people say, other characters say throughout the movie. Some examples of this would be when he's listening to that thing we were talking about earlier with George Bush on the TV, and he says, "This aggression will not stand, this aggression against Kuwait," and stuff, and later when he's meeting with the Big Lebowski, he says, "This aggression will not stand, man." And he also throws out like lines like, "To use the parlance of our times," and things like that. He just repeats things that other characters have mentioned. I just love that. Like the dude is not enough of a free thinker, so to speak, that he just repeats things that other people have said to him.
Right.
I think that's really funny. Another thing about the dude that I really... It's not really so much about the dude, but it's just a fun fact about the movie and stuff. But the dude's clothes, his robe, his famous sweater, his jellies, his shirts and stuff. Most of his clothes, in fact, almost everything that he wears in the entire movie is stuff that came out of Jeff Bridges' closet. Did you know that?
Really?
Like, Jeff Bridges wore his own clothes to the set.
Wow.
And that's what the dude... And I think that really shows how much... Kind of like what the, There's an Amber Alert.
Oh, that's all?
My phone's buzzing. It's an
I
Amber
didn't get
Alert.
one. I guess it's not important to me. Wait. I didn't... Not my fault.
Okay, well, like, I think it goes right along with the fact that, Jeff Bridges... like, he was... The reason the Coen brothers wanted him to play the role and they wouldn't have made the movie without him is because he is the dude.
Yeah, well, no, I was like, while you were talking, I was just doing some stuff. But then I'm laughing at the title. During the episode. What? Matt is really aggressive tonight. I don't know what's going on.
Because you're not staying focused.
I am focused!
I don't even remember what I was talking about. The clothes. So yeah, most of the clothes are Jeff Bridges. I think that's, him bringing himself into the character and really showing us the fact that Jeff Bridges is the dude. And that completely goes along with why the Coen brothers wanted him to play the role.
Want some of this?
No. I don't want your sausage. Another thing that I want to mention real quick is the fact that one of the things that Jeff Bridges did to kind of prepare himself for each scene in the movie is he would ask the Coen brothers, like they were getting ready to film a scene, he would ask the Coen brothers, did the dude smoke a J, like, before he came here or whatever?
And of course he did.
Well, they would either tell him yes or no.
Why would he not?
Just because of the particular time, he didn't. And according to their response, because he trusted them as knowing what they were doing and stuff, he would rub his eyes vigorously with his fingers, sort of like so, and he would try to make them bloodshot. And if you notice certain scenes in the movie, he definitely looks higher than other times.
His eyes need to be glazed over. It doesn't matter if they're bloodshot or not.
Well, that's what he was going for. All I'm telling you is what he was trying to do. I'm not going to get into the science of it or whatever. The movie also, believe it or not, because when you think about the nature of this movie and the way that the characters talk, the way the dialogue and stuff goes, is you would think a lot of it could easily be improvised, potentially.
Right?
Well, it's not. As a matter of fact. In fact, when the dude, when characters are talking and they're kind of talking like I am right now, it might not be to such a, and there's a lot of uhs and stuff involved. That's all scripted. Every bit of it is scripted.
Really?
The Coen brothers are very meticulous about their scripts. And every little bit, the actors have to pretty much follow exactly. There's very little to no improvising in any of the Coen brothers movies. In fact, out of the entire Big Lebowski, there's only one single part that was not scripted.
Okay.
And it was actually when the dude refers to the Big Lebowski as a human paraquat. That was entirely improvised by Jeff Bridges.
Really?
Paraquat, for those of you who don't know, is an herbicide.
How does that fucking help anybody?
Huh?
How does that help anybody?
How does it help anybody?
What's the word you just said?
Paraquat.
Paraquat after that is a herbicide. What the fuck is that?
An herbicide?
Yeah, what is an herbicide?
It's a chemical used to kill plants.
Well, if we weren't a fucking agricultural...
I have a degree in agricultural science, and...
So how the fuck are we supposed to know that?
Because I just told you. That's why I did.
I had to ask. You just said herbicide like we knew what the fuck that meant.
Okay, for those of you listening, you know that I said, for those of you who don't know, Joe has not listened to anything I've said for like the last hour of recording.
I don't think that's correct.
You left the room to get a sausage. You have not been listening. Anyway, so all that said, one of the things...
That's very aggressive tonight.
One of the things that was in the script... as a matter of fact, that the Coen brothers did end up changing is that originally in the script, when the Germans come in with the ferret and stuff, and the dude refers to it as a marmot, as we know.
Yes.
Originally in the script called for it to actually be a marmot. Like like the animal marmot and stuff. But they weren't able to find a marmot that was trained. With an animal handler. A marmot is sort of like a groundhog looking thing.
Ew.
Yeah. And I guess the Coen brothers, what they were going for is that it would just be funny for them to have a marmot of all things as their pet or
I think
whatever.
a ferret's good.
Well, they weren't able to find a marmot, so they changed it to a ferret, but they decided to leave it in the script as a marmot because they thought it would be a very dude kind of thing, that he would just call it a marmot.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing later with Walter's talking about it, he refers to it as an amphibious rodent and stuff, which also has nothing to do with what a marmot or a ferret, as a matter of fact, actually is. So I think
amphibious rodent.
it works. It works a lot better as it being what, an amphibious rodent?
Yeah, is there?
There are amphibious rodents.
What?
Well, a beaver, for example, is an amphibious rodent.
It is.
Yes, muskrats are amphibious rodents.
Muskrats?
Yes.
Platypus?
They're not rodents. They are amphibious, but they're not rodents. They're monotremes.
Okay, anyway.
Do you have anything else you want to really mention? Any details about the movie that you like?
Oh.
Particular scenes, quotes, maybe?
After they start talking about In-N-Out Burger.
Yes.
And they go, because they think they found out who took the briefcase of money, quote unquote.
Larry Sellers, yeah.
Yes. And they go there.
Is this your homework, Larry?
Yeah. Is this your homework? And then he's like, this is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass, or the censored version on TV.
Oh, yeah.
What was it?
Okay, so if you've never watched The Big Lebowski on cable, they have to heavily censor it and stuff, like if they show it on Comedy Central or whatever. And as Joe just said, the whole part where they're interrogating Larry and Walter says, do you see what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass? They have to censor that on cable to, do you see what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps? Which is almost as funny, if not funnier really, than the actual line and stuff. Another really funny censored line is Bunny's line, I'll suck your cock for $1,000, is censored to, I'll buy the clock for $1,000.
What is this, an auction?
Like it's terrible, but it's funny too.
Right. So I like that, but what I also like is they were talking. When were they talking about In-N-Out Burger at the bowling alley? Right.
They're talking about In-N-Out Burger while they're watching dude's landlord Marty's little one-man show.
Yeah, and that's good burgers, dude.
Theater.
So then they do that, and then anyway, this whole thing ensues. Another thing that's kind of funny is there's a guy in an iron lung. He's like, is he still riding?
Inexplicably in an iron lung. Like, there's no reason for him to be other
is he still
than
riding?
and basically for that one line where Walter's like, does he still write? And Pilar, the housekeeper, is like, oh no, he has health problems. Like, obviously he has health problems. He's in an iron lung.
So anyway, so that's pretty funny. But as they're coming back, the dude's car's windows get smashed in, and they're eating In-N-Out Burger. The dude's got this look on his face like, Jesus fuck. And so they're eating In-N-Out Burger. Donnie was like, that's good burgers, dude.
Those are good burgers, Walter.
You know what else is good burgers? Whopper.
A Whopper, really?
Yeah, from Burger King.
Burger King.
Yeah. They also they got a great deal on chicken nuggets as well.
Do they?
It's $1.49
Wow.
for 10. Or, I think it's like $3 for 20. 20 goddamn chicken nuggets.
And this is at Burger King.
Burger King! Most of the time they're open 24 hours.
Most of the time.
And I will tell you.
That's convenient.
Yeah, very convenient. And I'll tell you, man, those Whoppers.
Those are good burgers.
They're not bad at all, dude.
Yeah, those chicken fries.
The chicken fries. And Burger King kind of goes off the rails. They'll dust it with Cheetos.
Uh-huh.
They don't give a fuck.
Cheetos.
They also have, well, they used to. I don't know if they still do yet. But they had jalapeno chicken fries.
Yeah.
Fucking serious? What is this?
I could go for some of those right now.
The future? Is it the future? But I'll tell you.
It's better than the future. It's now.
They also have a great deal, too. It's $6 for two sandwiches. So you can either get 2 Whoppers or you can get a Whopper and a chicken sandwich.
They give you the choice?
Yes. Or 2 chicken sandwiches.
Does anywhere else do that?
No.
No.
No, nowhere. And by the way, if you've ever had a chicken sandwich at Burger King, holy tits. That's some good shit, man.
Is it tender?
Oh. It's like, but it's crispy, you know.
Yeah, but juicy on the inside.
Juicy on the inside.
Yeah.
Tender, delicious. The Whopper, so good. Order 6.
Yeah.
It'll cost you $24.
At your local burger.
No, 18. Wow.
Yeah.
We know I can't do math.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean
we do.
You times it by. Oh, order 4 orders. Good.
So like.
It's so good.
So like, if I were to go to Burger King, I could have it my way.
Yeah, and you know what else? When you go up to the takeout window, they ask for your name. Like, what's your name?
Matt.
Yeah. And then you pull up to the window and like, hey Matt, I got your sauces here, whatever you want. Here's your receipt. Pull up the next window and you'll get your deliciousness.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very personal.
Burger King.
They are the king.
Yeah. You know what else is very good? The symbolism in The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
We mentioned the tumbleweed earlier, how it's a little bit symbolic of the dude and stuff, and we alluded to the fact that we were going to talk about the stranger.
Yes.
And what he represents in the movie. First off, I want to ask you: do you think the stranger is a real physical person or a figment of the dude's imagination?
I think he's the narrator.
The stranger is Sam Elliott's character we're talking about.
Yeah.
The cowboy with the mustache.
Great voice.
Great voice, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a figment of the dude's imagination, but I think he's the narrator.
Well, he obviously is the narrator.
He's the figment of everybody's imagination.
Well, not within the movie, no.
Yeah, I mean, like, Donnie's not going to walk up and be like, oh, hey, Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
But see, that's another instance. Like, what if one of those other guys walked up while the dude was talking to him?
Well, the only other character that he interacts with other than the dude is Gary, the bartender, that we never actually see when he orders the good sarsaparilla, Sioux City sarsaparilla.
Why would you order the bad sarsaparilla?
I guess he's just wanting the best, and that's his way of asking for it.
Give me the medium sarsaparilla, please.
Yeah, for real. But that's the only other character that he interacts with. And people could use that as an argument for that he's maybe a physical, real person and stuff. But I mean, if he's a figment of the dude's imagination, couldn't he just as easily imagine him ordering a sarsaparilla?
I suppose.
Yeah. So. Personally, the way I look at it is he's obviously an omniscient narrator. He knows things that he wasn't there to witness. Even at the end of the movie, he knows that Maude is pregnant and mentions that there's a little Lebowski on the way. How could he know that unless he was an omniscient narrator?
Maybe he's God.
Well, that's an interesting thing because there's actually a theory that he does represent God and that the dude himself actually represents Jesus.
What?
Yeah. Well, let's think about it. Dude's got long hair. He's a pacifist. He wears a robe, sandals.
Who's he preaching to?
Huh? He's not preaching to anyone. But he does kind of have this general philosophy that he doesn't really force on anybody. or anything, but I'm not saying I go along with this theory. I'm just shedding light on what the
That's
nature
one of the ways
of it.
to go. I'm going to say right now, I think it's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
I don't think it's dumb, but I think it's stretching it. I think it's really looking a little.
I'll go with Sam Elliott being kind of like a god figure.
An omniscient, godlike figure.
But I won't go with the dude being like Jesus.
Oh, I don't either. I'm just saying
because he doesn't have followers, except for maybe his landlord.
Yeah.
Walter certainly doesn't follow him.
No, not at all.
Well, I mean, Donnie maybe.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I'm just presenting that as a theory that some fans of the movie have come up with and stuff. There actually is a religion based around the dude that, as of earlier tonight, Dudism is the name of the religion, and it's part of the Church of Latter-day Dude, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Church of Latter-day Dude. It was founded in 2005 by a guy named Oliver Benjamin, and as of tonight, Joe and I have become ordained Dudist priests.
Yes!
We are officially ordained into the faith of Dudism and have agreed to uphold its practices and customs.
You will now come before me in the church, and I will preach unto thee the words and wisdom of Dudism, and you will forever be beholden unto me. Amen.
Amen. And if you keep up with us on Facebook and Twitter, you can see our certificates that prove that we are ordained.
Yeah, we're not fucking around here.
Yeah, we're not kidding. Like, we really did this earlier tonight. It was actually pretty easy, but...
I got to get to a printer. I'm going to print it off and I'll frame it.
You're hanging on your office wall.
Yep.
We should hang them up in the studio, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to the Stranger. The character of the Stranger. My personal take on it is that he doesn't necessarily... It's irrelevant whether he's a real person or not. It's irrelevant. I personally believe that he is the dude's conscience, so to speak, and stuff. But it's more of what he represents than what he is to me. And what he represents to me is the dudes of days gone by. Mm-hmm. The way I see it is that the Stranger sort of... He's the dude. In his narration at the beginning, he mentions how the dude is the man for his place and time. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. When he says that at the beginning of the movie. What I like to see is that the dude, Jeff Bridges' character, is literally the dude for his place and time, being Los Angeles in 1991. And the Stranger sort of represents a similar version of that same character from the days of the American West and stuff. He's a pacifist. He doesn't seem like the kind of cowboy who would have been an outlaw or something. So I would say he's almost like a pacifist. He's a peaceful guy and stuff. He doesn't even swear. He mentions that the dude says too many cuss words and stuff. So he's sort of that easygoing sort of character. He basically represents the dude himself, just in a different time and a different place. And that's what I think he represents more than anything. And obviously he is an omniscient narrator who serves as a way of telling the audience what's going on without it being clunky exposition. It's instead very well done narration by an interesting character who appears in sort of a surreal fashion, which is something that comes up in a lot of Coen Brothers movies, where there's sort of a almost otherworldly character that appears and stuff. Another symbolic thing I want to mention as we're kind of wrapping this up and stuff is involves Donnie himself. The character of Donnie. Throughout the whole movie, you see whenever he bowls a strike. Until the last time he rolls.
Oh yeah, that's right.
The last time he rolls, he doesn't get a strike. Actually, one pin remains standing, which is foreshadowing for his death, which actually comes later in the movie. But also what sort of foreshadows his death is when he turns around, you notice the back of his bowling shirt says what on it, Joe?
Johnson.
Johnson.
And that's what the Russians yell.
No,
we cut off your Johnson!
The Germans. They're Germans, not Russians.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. They mentioned to the dude that they'll cut off his Johnson. And
hey, cut off your Johnson!
It's kind of interesting, almost foreshadowing, almost sort of... symbolically.
I fuck you, Lebowski.
Watch out, man! He's got a sword thing.
He's got a sword thing.
But the interesting thing to me is that they do, in a sense, cut off his Johnson, so to speak, because
Donnie dies.
Donnie dies while he's wearing a bowling shirt that says Johnson on. Through the whole movie, Donnie wears a lot of bowling shirts, and none of them say Donnie on them. They have all kinds of different names, but this one actually says Johnson on the back, on the shoulder. There's another name on the chest and stuff. I don't remember what it was either. But that's interesting symbolism and stuff. And the fact that he misses that strike is sort of ominous.
But you know what? Also, what I noticed, like when they were putting Donnie to rest, so to speak, the dude's shirt on the front says art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I think that's actually a shirt from Jeff Bridges' closet as well. I believe that's his.
Yeah, but like art, and it's like the movie's kind of.
Yeah.
Is that what I mean? Am I thinking too deep?
Possibly, but possibly not. I mean, the Coen brothers. There's a lot of method to their madness. As we've mentioned throughout this whole thing, that they're very detail oriented. So every little detail could potentially mean something. I wouldn't rule anything out and stuff, because they don't like to talk about their movies a lot. They don't like to give a lot away. They leave a lot up for interpretation and stuff. Basically, the last thing I want to talk about as far as symbolism goes, and this is probably going to blow your mind, possibly just a little bit, Joe.
Yeah.
Would you consider The Big Lebowski to be a feminist movie?
Wait, what?
Would you consider The Big Lebowski to be a feminist movie?
I wasn't even thinking about that topic, to be honest with you.
You know what? Neither would I, but as a matter of fact, there are some very strong feminist themes throughout the movie.
Really?
Yes. First off, there's really only two female characters that are prominently featured in the movie, Maude and Bunny and stuff. Maude is very clearly a feminist and stuff, but she shows very early on that she is probably the most competent character in the movie, who really knows what she's doing and knows what she's talking about. She mentions that she's a feminist and stuff. She's a feminist artist and things like that. She doesn't shy away from her sexuality. She uses the dude to get pregnant and stuff, and is completely fine with raising a baby on her own and stuff. She's the one who controls all the money in the company. Her dad gets an allowance from her.
That's true.
And stuff. So really, the strongest character in the movie is a very strong female character. People talk about movies needing more strong female characters. Maude is a great example. And then you look at Bunny, who you don't necessarily think as being a strong female character, but she's a character that really does hold a lot of cards, so to speak. I mean, she's able to exploit a millionaire who's not really a millionaire. He gets his money through the foundation, but he's still able, or she's still able, I should say, to exploit him for money and get what she wants.
Right.
And stuff. So really, the female characters hold a lot of cards in this movie and stuff. And I also want to draw attention to, I pointed this out to you, but the scissors in the painting.
The painting or whatever
that Maude had done, because we mentioned she's a feminist artist, and she does this this painting with scissors, and those scissors occur later during the during the dude's dream sequence. Where the nihilists are chasing him with giant scissors and stuff, which is a reference to the fact that they said they would cut off his Johnson,
right,
and things like that. But the fact that the scissors appear in Maude's art gallery is interesting, because there's a lot of references in this movie to castration.
Cut off your Johnson.
Well, there's that. There's the fact that twice in the movie, dude's member is sort of on the receiving end of some sort of trauma. Once when the marmot gets thrown into the bathtub with him.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff. And again when he tries to flick his joint out the window when the window's rolled up and it lands and tries to burn him. It's not consciously trying to burn him, but you know what I'm saying. It almost burns his balls and stuff. So there's a lot of things that have to do with castration, and there's also some figurative castration as well. When you look at one of the female characters that we don't actually ever see on screen, but Walter's ex-wife, Cynthia.
Oh yeah, you never see her.
But she obviously, in a way, has castrated Walter. I mean, he's completely whipped by her, even though they've been divorced for a long time,
right?
And stuff. I mean, he takes care of her dog while she goes on vacation with her boyfriend.
Fucking dog is fucking papers, man.
You can't be much more castrated than that, can you?
It's true.
There's also a deleted line that the Coen scrapped from the script during the scene where Walter throws the Big Lebowski out of his wheelchair onto the ground.
Oh, yeah?
And while he's lying on the ground, in the original script, the Big Lebowski would say, "Can't you spare a man his balls?" So, I mean, there's just a lot of references to castration, and the fact that, like I said, the strongest character in the movie as far as really having everything together is Maude and stuff. And also the fact that she appears several times throughout the movie as being literally physically above the dude. I mean, there's the scene where he's laying on the rug.
Yeah.
Well, there's the scene where he's laying on the rug listening to his tapes, and her thugs come and they punch him and knock him out, and she's above him. Then there's the fact that when she's doing her painting, she flies in above him. And then the fact at the end of the movie where he trips over the piece of wood, and then she walks in and is standing over him with the robe and stuff. She's literally above him many times throughout the movie. And I personally do believe, because I know a lot of the Coen brothers, they do a lot of feminist themes throughout their movies. These are all examples of them putting feminism into The Big Lebowski, which you think of as being very much a bro kind of masculine movie, but it does have a lot of underlying feminist themes. So now that I've kind of shed some light on that, do you think that there is feminist themes in The Big Lebowski? Do you see it?
No.
You don't see it? After all that, you don't see any underlying feminist themes at all?
I guess. I mean, but...
You guess? I feel like I laid it out pretty plain and simple.
No, you did a good job. I just,
You don't want to admit it.
Yeah. Not because I'm against it.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm focused on when I'm watching the movie. I'm focused on the plot, which, like you said, people don't think exists. Focused on the plot. Focused on the dialogue. I'm not focused on
I think
whether she's some kind of feminist hero or heroine or not.
Yeah.
I'm just focused on the dialogue.
But I think that goes right along with the fact that you really need to watch this movie a lot of times to dissect every aspect of it. And I think those are just aspects that you haven't got around to seeing before.
Probably.
But now that you have seen them, you can see them without it affecting your view of the movie.
Sure.
And your enjoyment of it.
Right.
You'll still be able to enjoy the movie just as much, even though you continue to learn new things about it. And that's one of the things that makes this movie so great. And it's one of the reasons that it's my favorite movie of all time. I think I'm completely biased, I'll say it again, but I think it is a perfect film.
One for the ages.
Very few flaws.
You gotta put it in a capsule.
Well, it has been preserved forever in the Library of Congress. National Film Registry.
We need to put it in a satellite?
Yeah, it should be what aliens see very first thing if they come in contact with Earth.
Shoot it into space.
Alright. Well, is there anything else you want to say about The Big Lebowski before we wrap this up?
That's a fucking great movie.
I do, one other thing I want to say, because it didn't really come up anywhere, but I just want to throw it out here, is that something that was taken out of the original Coen Brothers script was an explanation for how the dude got all of his money. Because he obviously has some money, he doesn't have to work and stuff. I mean, he's a deadbeat and stuff, but he obviously has something. And the Coens decided to scrap this so it's not canon or whatever. But originally, he was the heir to the Rubik's Cube fortune. One of his ancestors was the guy that created the Rubik's Cube, and that's how the dude was able to have money to live his life and be a complete deadbeat.
Oh, why they scrap that?
I guess because it wouldn't make sense for him to be still broke. I guess, because that would be a huge fortune.
Yeah, but he's like down the line. He's not.
You could say it's because he lives simply and stuff, and it is down the line, and maybe he wasted a lot of money on a lot of stuff at some point.
Okay, maybe I can see why.
But they did scrap it.
I can see why they scrapped it.
But it's just an interesting. So are we done, or have we covered everything?
I think that's about it.
I think I do too. Hopefully you were able to learn something.
If you've made it all the way through the podcast,
congratulations.
You need a certificate.
Yeah. We thank you if you did stick around because, I mean, we really appreciate all of you that are viewers. We hope that you'll comment, subscribe, like our videos.
Please comment, subscribe. It doesn't cost a thing. It's free. You just need a Gmail account.
Yes.
That's all. Just a Gmail account.
And you can find us on Facebook, Matt and Joe's Media Overload. Gosh, I can't talk.
Wow.
Matt and Joe's Media Overload on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter at Matt and Joe MO. And you can also check out Joe's comic strip that he just started that's on Facebook and Twitter called Sir Surf. Joe, do you want to say anything about that real quick?
Yeah, it's a quick little comic strip I just came up with the last couple of days. Quite literally. I put out a strip today, and then, now it's tomorrow. But I put out 2 strips in 2 days. Yeah, yesterday, whatever. Put out 2 strips. I'm pretty proud of it. It's fun. But I can't draw. So if you want great illustrations, you're not getting it from me. Writing's more my deal. So yeah, check it out. I hope you enjoy that. Again, we're here to conquer all forms of media. Even that means exploring into other forms of media ourselves. So I can't draw, but I said, fuck it.
But we also have other content on the way. We recently got into making some actual videos and stuff.
Check that out on YouTube, please.
You can check out Joe exploring the farm. You can check out some behind-the-scenes stuff that we've done. We have some more ideas for comic strips on the way.
There'll probably be a video after this podcast, maybe.
Yeah, so...
Who knows where we'll go?
Who knows? And be sure to stick around and check everything out. So I believe that wraps everything up for episode 4. Until next time, I'm Matt.
And I'm Joe.
And this has been Matt and Joe's
Media Overload.